Very good evening. Welcome to News Tonight on Rajya Sabha Television. I am Aishwarya Kapoor with you. All the news and updates on COVID-19 situation in the country and the lockdown 4.0 and much more coming up in the next 30 minutes. So let us start with the news bulletin. Many states announced more relaxations across the nation as lockdown 4.0 started today. Coincidentally, the last 24 hours witnessed the biggest spike so far in the number of novel coronavirus cases in the country. There were over 5,200 new cases and 157 deaths, taking total cases to 96,169. Of these, over 56,000 are active cases. With 36,824 patients cured, the recovery rate remains 38.29%, while 3,029 lives have been lost so far. Maharashtra reported over 2,300 cases on Sunday. It was the highest one-day total for the state. State capital Mumbai alone reported close to 1,600 cases. The state has 33,000 cases and close to 1,200 deaths. Gujarat is second in terms of number of COVID-19 cases. Its tally stands at 11,379. While 659 people have died due to the disease, Gujarat has seen 4,499 recoveries so far. Tamil Nadu has 11,224 coronavirus cases. The state has seen 4,172 recoveries and 78 COVID-19 deaths. Delhi became the fourth state to cross the 10,000 figure mark on Sunday. With the 299 new cases, its total stood at 10,054. In Kashmir's Anantnag district, 19 policemen were found COVID-19 positive. Kashmir also recorded another COVID-19 related death on Monday, taking the total number of COVID-19 related deaths to 14 in J&K. Meanwhile, 1,273 Maharashtra police personnel, including 131 officers, have contracted the disease. Out of the total cases, 291 policemen have recovered, while 11 have succumbed to the infection. After no report of cases for a month, Goa on Sunday reported 10 new cases. 18 new infections were detected in people returning from other places since last week. The total number of active cases in Goa has reached 29. Take a look at restrictions eased by some states in line with the Home Ministry guidelines in Lockdown 4.0. Karnataka has allowed state transport and private buses to operate except in red and containment zones. However, only 30 people would be allowed to travel in the buses. Wearing of face masks and maintaining physical distancing are mandatory. Autos and taxis are also given a green signal to get onto the roads, but with only 3 passengers, including the driver. Interstate transport, however, remains suspended. Karnataka has also banned the entry of people from 4 states, Gujarat, Maharashtra, Kerala and Tamil Nadu till 31st of May.
People from Gujarat, Maharashtra, Kerala, Tamil Nadu till May 31st, but allowed in stages. Buses of all road transport corporations in state and private buses will be with precautionary measures. They will run strict lockdown measures in containment zones and economic activities will be permitted in other areas. Sunday will be total lockdown across the state. Home quarantine.
Kerala government too has allowed resumption of bus services outside COVID-19 hotspots in Lockdown 4.0. Interstate and inter-district bus services will remain suspended. Chhattisgarh has extended restrictions imposed in all districts of the state under CRPC Section 144 for the next 3 months in a bid to contain COVID-19 spread. The Uttar Pradesh government has agreed to Priyanka Gandhi Vadra's request to run 1,000 buses for migrants. The Yogi Adityanath government has written to the Congress leaders' office for details of the buses, their numbers and names of their drivers. Meanwhile, all operations at the Oppo mobile factory in Greater Noida have been suspended after 6 employees of the factory tested positive for the disease. In Delhi, Arvind Kejriwal announced that while private offices can open, they should ensure that most of the staff works from home. Markets have been allowed to open, but shops will function on an odd-even basis. Taxis and cabs will be allowed with 2 passengers at a time. DTC buses can only have 20 passengers per vehicle to maintain social distance. Construction activities have also been permitted in Delhi, but only with labourers who are in the national capital right now. Barber shops, spas and salons will remain closed in the national capital. Stepping out of homes between 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. remains prohibited.
सारे स्कूल, कॉलेज, कोचिंग इंस्टीट्यूट, ट्रेनिंग इंस्टीट्यूट सब बंद रहेंगे. सारे होटल बंद रहेंगे. सारे सिनेमा हॉल, शॉपिंग मॉल, जिम्नेजियम, स्विमिंग पूल, एंटरटेनमेंट पार्क, थिएटर, बार, ऑडिटोरियम्स, असेंबली हॉल्स, ये सब बंद रहेंगे. सोशल, पॉलिटिकल, स्पोर्ट्स, एंटरटेनमेंट, एकेडमिक, कल्चरल, रिलीजियस या किसी भी तरह की बड़ी गैदरिंग्स ये नहीं हो पाएंगी, ये अलाउड नहीं होंगी. कोई भी धार्मिक स्थान या रिलीजियस प्लेस या प्लेसेस ऑफ वर्शिप बंद रहेंगे. कोई भी रिलीजियस गैदरिंग अलाउड नहीं होगी.
Shops, markets and offices are allowed to be open during the 4th phase of the nationwide coronavirus lockdown announced by the centre on Sunday, while specifying that states could impose additional restrictions if necessary. The relaxations in lockdown guidelines are not valid in the containment areas in red or orange zones, where only essential activities and services and sale of essential goods will be allowed. And the Indian Council of Medical Research has updated its strategy for fighting COVID-19. The revised strategy proposes that all symptomatic contacts of laboratory-confirmed cases, healthcare workers at the front line of battle against COVID-19 and patients of severe acute respiratory infection or SARI be tested. The asymptomatic, direct and high-risk contacts of a confirmed case should be tested once between day 5 and day 10 of coming into contact with the affected. All symptomatic patients with influenza-like illness and patients who developed ILI symptoms should also be tested. All symptomatic ILI among returnees and migrants within 7 days of illness must be tested. The guideline makes it clear that no emergency procedure should be delayed for lack of testing. The ICMR has so far tested over 23 lakh samples. As per ICMR's bulletin, 75,000 samples were tested in the last 24 hours. And now an update on the government's biggest repatriation exercise, the Vande Bharat mission. So special Air India flights continue to bring Indians from overseas, and 4 special flights from the Gulf countries brought home 700 stranded Indian nationals in the second phase of the government's Vande Bharat mission on Monday. Here are all the details. As many as 169 Indians stranded in Bangladesh were ferried by an Air India flight from Dhaka to Kolkata at 12:30 p.m. Another special flight from Dubai carrying 178 stranded people landed in Chennai airport on Monday morning. Upon arrival, all passengers were sent on a 14-day quarantine to the Indian Air Force facility in Tambaram near the city. Many of the evacuees are said to be people who overstayed and were granted amnesty by UAE. As many as 177 people returned to Hyderabad from Muscat by a special Air India flight at around 5:35 p.m. Another batch of 177 Indians landed in Mangalore from Dubai at 6:30 p.m.
लॉकडाउन की वजह से हम लोग इंडिया नहीं जा पाए थे, तो हम लोग हॉस्टल में फंस गए थे. तो चिटागोंग एम्बेसी, ढाका एम्बेसी एंड हाई कमीशन ऑफ इंडिया को हम लोग थैंक यू बोलना चाहते हैं कि हमें इंडिया इवैक्यूएट करने के लिए वेरी वेरी थैंक यू.
Residing here with my husband. I am 8 months pregnant. Now I am returned to India for my delivery. Thank you for Indian Embassy for arranging my flight ticket and for the great support. Thank you for Government of India.
2 साल का बेटा है, उसको थोड़ा सीरियस हुआ था. उस टाइम में मैं अभी 2 दिन हुआ था ये इश्यू चालू होके, तो बाद में मैं मेरा एम्बेसी में वो लोगों को कांटेक्ट किया और साथ में मेरे लिए बहुत लोग हेल्प किया हुआ है, वो मैं अभी इस टाइम में याद कर रहा है और साथ में इंडियन एम्बेसी को भी मैं थैंक्स बोल रहा हूँ।
Meanwhile, 2 flights carrying 177 passengers each from UAE will be arriving at 2 Kerala airports later in the evening. The first flight will be from Abu Dhabi to Kochi and another flight from Doha to Kozhikode. Only those found asymptomatic will be allowed to board the flight. A group of 127 Indian prisoners were deported from Bahrain under a general amnesty. They were brought to Kochi by a special Gulf Air flight on Sunday night. The deportees were shifted to a quarantine facility at the School of Naval Airmen at Kochi Naval Base after medical screening. The second phase of the mission started on the 16th of May and will continue till the 22nd of May. It will bring back Indians from 31 countries aboard 149 flights. And Union Cabinet Secretary Rajiv Gauba has sought the cooperation of state governments in running more Shramik special trains to facilitate the movement of migrant workers.
Gauba said this at a video conference with state chief secretaries and DGPs of all states and union territories on Sunday. The chairman of Railway Board, who was present at the video conference, assured that the number of special trains can be increased if the states provide quick clearances. The Cabinet Secretary requested the state governments to make district magistrates and superintendents of police responsible for the safety and well-being of migrant labourers. Gauba also said that those found walking must be escorted to camps and their movement by Shramik special trains needs to be facilitated. Earlier on Sunday, the government had said that Indian Railways is ready to run Shramik special trains from all districts connected by it to ensure safer and quicker transportation of migrants. Railway Minister Piyush Goyal has asked district collectors to prepare a list of stranded labourers and their destination and send it to railways through the state nodal officers. He said Indian Railways has the capacity to run almost 300 Shramik special trains a day. The railways have so far run 1,150 Shramik special trains since May 1st, ferrying over 15 lakh migrants from various parts of the country to different destinations.
In some other news, a meeting of the group of ministers was held at the residence of Defence Minister Rajnath Singh on Monday.
Home Minister Amit Shah, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman, Rural Development Minister Narendra Singh Tomar, Railway Minister Piyush Goyal and Textiles Minister Smriti Irani were present at the meeting. The group of ministers reportedly reviewed the announcement of the economic revival package announced by Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman. The GOM is also likely to strategize how the benefits of the economic package will reach the needy and the most vulnerable who have been hit the hardest by the nationwide lockdown.
Rajya Sabha Chairman M. Venkaiah Naidu and Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla on Monday discussed the possibility of holding parliamentary committee meetings through video conferencing amid the COVID-19 induced lockdown. This was the second meeting of the presiding officers of both houses of parliament on the matter. They had first discussed the issue on the 7th of this month. During their first meeting, the presiding officers directed Secretaries General of both houses to examine all issues concerning the meetings of the committee by video conferencing for submission of a report for further consideration. On Monday, both Secretaries General briefed Rajya Sabha Chairman and Lok Sabha Speaker on the discussions, especially about a safe technical platform for video conferencing to be provided by the National Informatics Centre. The two officials were directed to submit a detailed report at the earliest for further consideration. They were also informed about the technical arrangements to be put in place for enabling video conferencing and the issues likely to be faced during virtual meetings of the committees. Naidu and Birla also exchanged feedback on the activities of the members of parliament during the novel coronavirus-induced confinement and restrictions on their movement in some states as reported by the MPs. In some other news, the Central Board of Secondary Education on Monday announced the revised date sheet for the pending examinations of classes 10th and 12th. Class 10th and 12th board exams will be conducted for the remaining 29 papers from the 1st to the 15th of July at various centres. Candidates have to carry sanitizers to the exam halls in a transparent bottle. They will also have to cover their nose and mouth with masks or cloth during the examination. Exams will be held for Class 12 students in Home Science, Hindi Elective, Hindi Core, Information Practice New, Computer Science New, Information Practice Old, Computer Science Old, Information Technology, Business Studies, Biotechnology, Geography, Sociology. For Northeast Delhi students, exams for Class 12th subjects will include Physics, Accountancy, Chemistry, English Elective N, English Elective C, English Core, Political Science, Maths, Economics, History, Biology. For Class 10th, the subjects are Social Science, Science Theory, Science without Practical, Hindi Course A, Hindi Course B, English Communicative, English Language and Literature. Class 12th exams were postponed due to the COVID-19 lockdown for CBSE students. The violence in Northeast Delhi led to the postponement of Class 10th subjects as well. CBSE results are expected in August. The first case of COVID-19 in India on 30th of January was a Kerala student who had returned from Wuhan, the epicenter of the coronavirus then. And since then, the number of novel coronavirus confirmed cases in India has climbed up to nearly 98,000. But the one thing that India has had a firm grip on has been the death rate due to the disease. So the worst affected country in the world, the US, has a death rate of nearly 6%, but in India, this stands at nearly 3.1%. So the death rate is the ratio of the number of people who contracted the disease to the deaths caused due to it.
The first death occurred in India on the 14th of March when there were just 84 confirmed cases of COVID-19. Comparing those figures, the death rate then was 2.3%. Since then, week after week, the number of cases have gone up exponentially, but it is a pat on the back for our healthcare workers that the death rate has gone up by less than 1%. As of May 18th, the death rate from the novel coronavirus stands at 3.1%, even as the cases have grown over 1,000%. In fact, for the past few weeks, the death rate has been stable at 3.1 to 3.2%, showing that India is in firm control in the battle against the coronavirus. The 73rd World Health Assembly, the key decision-making body of the World Health Organization, started on Monday.
For the first time ever, the two-day assembly is being held virtually due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Representatives of the United Nations, 194 member states are taking part in the assembly. Union Health Minister Dr. Harshvardhan represented India during Monday's session. The 73rd World Health Assembly is dedicated to strengthening global coordination against the COVID-19 pandemic. More than 120 countries are pushing for an impartial and comprehensive evaluation of the global response into the crisis, as well as to examine the origin of the deadly infection. India has also supported a 62-nation coalition led by the European Union and Australia to seek an independent investigation into the coronavirus outbreak that has claimed over 3 lakh lives worldwide. This is the first time that India has formally articulated its stand on the COVID-19 outbreak that was detected in central China's Wuhan city late last year.
Niti Aayog CEO Amitabh Kant heads the Empowered Group on coordinating with the private sector, international organizations and NGOs for COVID-19 related response. Speaking exclusively to Rajya Sabha television, Kant said that reform measures announced by the finance minister will play a major role in paving the way for an Atmanirbhar Bharat and drive investment and augment productivity across key sectors of the economy. Here is a report.
In an exclusive interview to Rajya Sabha television, Niti Aayog CEO Amitabh Kant said that the pandemic offers an opportunity to reinvent business in India. He said that the government is looking at schemes for several sectors to attract investments.
I think things will radically change because you'll suddenly have 6 airports being put out for bidding. You'll see again private sector bidding. You will see 50 huge coal mines being put out, coal blocks being put out. You will see about 500 mineral blocks being put out. Now, we'll have all these will attract private sector. and they will in turn get credit from financial institutions. So this whole cycle of credit, risk averseness for lending, so you'll have relevant projects coming out into the open.
Kant also said that technology will play a major role in fighting the pandemic and the post-COVID-19 economy, citing the Arogya Setu app as an example of how technology can help in combating the novel coronavirus.
Well, the work culture will change enormously. My view is that people will be given outcomes and outputs, and most of that will have to be executed from wherever you are, need not necessarily be from home. You can do it anywhere. You will be assessed on your performance.
The Empowered Committee headed by Kant has opened up cross-sectoral dialogue within the private sector and startups to engender collaboration. It has also held discussions with international organizations on providing technical support in monitoring and surveillance systems, strengthening health and nutritional services in India. Kriti Mishra's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
And now the global update on coronavirus pandemic. So countries around the world eased their coronavirus-led lockdowns. Italy on Monday took its first steps to restart economic activities. Shops, restaurants and hair salons reopened, even as Italians enjoyed breakfast at local bars. People are moving freely in provinces, meeting friends and families. Italy has been gradually easing restrictions since 4th of May, when it allowed factories and parks to reopen. Spain also eased restrictions in its least affected regions. On Monday, restaurants and cafes in major cities, including Valencia, reopened businesses. Gatherings up to 15 people, reopening of cinemas, museums and theatres at reduced capacity was allowed in many places. Britain on Monday started its rail network as more people returned to work. Restaurants, cafe and pastry shops resumed business at reduced capacity. In Portugal and Belgium, primary and secondary schools reopened, while Greece even opened the beaches. Americans headed back to shops and restaurants over the weekend, while Thailand entered its second phase of easing restrictions. Bangkok bus terminal resumed operations on Monday. Non-essential businesses like shopping malls and department stores, restaurants, parks and museums were allowed to reopen last week. Meanwhile, Japan declared recession for the first time since 2015 with a 0.9% GDP drop in the first quarter due to the impact of coronavirus on production, export and other businesses. However, Japan is gradually easing its state of emergency since last week and hoping for economic recovery soon. Worldwide, total COVID-19 cases surpassed 4.8 million, while deaths registered touched over 3.1 lakh. And Prime Minister Narendra Modi chaired a high-level meeting today to take stock of the situation arising due to Cyclone Amphan. And during the meet, response measures as well as evacuation plans were discussed. Home Minister Amit Shah, Principal Advisor to the Prime Minister P.K. Sinha, Cabinet Secretary Rajiv Gauba, besides other officers, attended the meeting. The Prime Minister has assured the states of all possible support. Cyclonic storm Amphan intensified into a super cyclone on Monday. It is likely to move across the northeast Bay of Bengal and cross the West Bengal and Bangladesh coast on the 20th of May. The India Meteorological Department has predicted heavy rains occupied with high-velocity winds in coastal areas of Odisha and West Bengal. As a precautionary measure, the Odisha government is evacuating people from vulnerable areas. Fishermen have been advised not to venture into the sea till Thursday. The National Disaster Response Force has deployed 37 teams in Odisha and West Bengal in view of the cyclone.
As per the IMD predictions, the cyclone is going to not hit the land mass area of Odisha, but going to bypass near the coast, which will of course lead to significant rain and lot of wind speed, for which the government has to be prepared. Landfall is going to be somewhere between Digha and the Hatia island of Bangladesh.
Meanwhile, many parts of Kerala experienced heavy rains since Sunday under the impact of the cyclone. Several houses were damaged and trees uprooted. Roads have been blocked, while power blackout has been reported in many districts due to strong winds and rain. International news: Afghanistan President Ashraf Ghani and his rival Abdullah Abdullah have signed a power-sharing deal to end the political stalemate that had been continuing since the presidential election held in the country in September last year. Under the deal, Ghani will stay president while Abdullah will helm the High Council of National Reconciliation with executive authority. His team will have a 50% share in the cabinet. The HCNR headed by Abdullah will also lead the peace talks with the Taliban that has already signed a peace accord with the United States. Ghani called it a historic day for Afghanistan. The agreement was reached without any international mediation.
Today is a historic day for Afghanistan. Afghans have proven that they are committed to national interest with common thinking and plan. We have shown that without the mediation of international friends, we can reach a fundamental solution in a reasonable way. I would like to thank the head of the High Council for Peace and National Reconciliation of Afghanistan, Mr. Abdullah, for his commitment to the national interest of the country and for fulfilling this big responsibility.
India also welcomed the deal that ended months of the political impasse. The Ministry of External Affairs said India is concerned over the continuing violence and terror attacks in Afghanistan and called for an immediate ceasefire and assistance to the people reeling under the coronavirus pandemic. US Secretary of State Mike Pompeo also welcomed the power-sharing deal, as did NATO, which maintains a training mission in Afghanistan. And that is it in this edition of News Tonight. We'll see you tomorrow at the same time with all the day's big stories. Till then, take care. Good night. Bye-bye.